Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the Pincer Formation. And you might be like, okay, Chisgule, there's a formation coming, end of video. And to some extent, I would have thought you were right, except I got bombarded by messages from people who were wondering, am I switching to Pincer? What am I supposed to do? And of course, we'll only really know once we get the rare and legendary inscriptions reveal, but I still think there's actually a lot to talk about with what to expect with regard to Pincer, the relationship to Arch, and also my general thoughts on releasing a formation that's specific for something that we already have in game. I'll tell you exactly what I mean there just a little bit further into the video. And the other thing that I really want to mention here is that I planned to make this video yesterday, but I've been making content about Rise of Kingdoms for the last 6 years. And the only way to make pretty much daily content about this game is to take advantage of news when it drops. So yesterday, I was planning to make this video that I'm launching today, but we got the patch notes. So I made that video on the hot topic, and today we talk about the Pincer Formation. And maybe I'm just losing the desire to hustle like crazy because, you know, 4 years ago, Chisgule would have made this Pincer Formation video literally the night that the formation dropped. But initially, I would have given you a bad take. My original take was, oh, cool, I'm just going to switch all my Arch stuff over to Pincer because Pincer makes it so that your smite damage does 10% more damage. That seems pretty good, so just switch everything over, right? But as I thought about that and talked more and more with people about it, I realized that was not true. And it's funny, I had multiple conversations simultaneously, one with Cortex and one with Hooksy, where it was like, sweet, I'm just going to get rid of all my Arch stuff, switch it over to the new smite setup. It's going to run me like $800 worth of conversion stones. But, you know, at least I can just do it. And thank God I can get rid of destructive. So look, this is like enter completely separate rant that could be its own video. In fact, Billet did a video about exactly this that was really detailed. In fact, it was actually Amfern who was the first person who was like, I don't think you should do this because it's like actually not doing good stuff as far as I can tell. And it's because active skills are just so strong these days that losing the rage actually just really, really dramatically reduces your DPS. Now, look, I think in my ideal world, this destructive inscription would do something more compelling. So I think a little rework is certainly warranted, my opinion. But the other thing that I would say about this in particular is that the wording on this changed. The effects didn't change, but the wording changed. Originally, I believe that this said 10% chance to spend 100 rage to increase the, I think it was your like normal damage or something. The way it was worded before, I think, unless I'm misremembering, implied that it was your basic attack and your counterattack damage. This is only increasing your basic attack damage by 70%. So I used to justify the rage reduction by saying, well, it's good anti-swarm. I do not actually think that's even true. So all of this is in the context of, thank goodness there's some new formation because I can get rid of this and switch it to something that's more compelling. And I know that sounds really harsh, but like when I get an orange colored inscription and it takes a KVK win to get it, I expect an upgrade, not something that is colored like an upgrade, but is respectfully. Like, as it turns out, according to the math that multiple people have done, actually ends up being a downgrade. Okay, so, you know, and then now that we've established, I can't wait to get rid of destructive. Am I actually getting rid of destructive? Because again, the more I thought about this, after my conversation with Cortex and my conversation with Hooksy, where I was like, woohoo, can't wait to get rid of it, I realized that, no, hold on, I might not be getting rid of it. Because the thing that's powerful about Arch Formation is the anti-swarm. Normal attack enhances your basic and counter. Basic is the damage you deal every second to the thing you're directly targeting. Counter enhances the damage you deal back to everyone who's directly targeting you. The scaling of a basic attack is just with the one target you're hitting. The scaling of counterattack, technically, your total damage goes up when more things are hitting you. So your total DPS goes way up if you're getting swarmed by virtue of dealing more normal damage. And you think, well, Chisgule, 5% ain't much, buddy. And you're right until you factor in that, you know, you put in something like uplifting, or if you look in the codex, you can get the legendary inscription equivalent over here, straight to the point. There's 3.5% boost to normal damage. This has a 3.5% boost to normal damage. This has a, well, skill damage resistance. Okay, that's fine. But what else does it do, actually? Oh, yeah. This is giving you 12% more normal damage right over here when you get low, for Garrison and Rally especially. This is giving you an 8% boost. I mean, Arch actually, like, very, very powerful anti-swarm. And anti-swarm's the meta. So am I changing my Garrison off of anti-swarm? Probably not. In fact, what I think happens in a world in which you get this pincer formation is that you now have 2 viable formations for Rally and Garrison. In the situation where you are not going to get swarmed, I suspect Pincer is way better. So like in a fort, in a pass, in a rally where you're not getting swarmed, Pincer seems very strong if we assume that this is going to work kind of like a wedge formation, but for smite damage, right? Like it's going to make it so that presumably you're going to amplify your smite damage a whole heck of a lot. And if that's what the rare and legendary inscriptions do, then I think it'll be really good in those situations for Rally Garrison where you are not getting swarmed. But if it doesn't do anything to mitigate the damage you take while getting swarmed or deal more damage while getting swarmed, then the Arch stuff is just going to be straight up better, which is kind of interesting. So if you're an open fielder, I suspect that Pincer Formation will end up being better depending on your play style. Okay, if you're the kind of person who's in the front line, kind of throwing your march to sort of like tank, right? If you're not afraid to tank, Arch can end up being better for the normal attack boosts. But if you play your open field more like a, DPS, try to minimize the damage you take, then Pincer is almost certainly going to be very strong because enhancing your smite damage will be perfect for that. So long story short, my expectation is actually, unless they make these inscriptions at the rare and legendary tier completely busted, there actually will be need for both Arch and also for Pincer. Now, this switches gears a little bit, though, to my sort of philosophy about collections in games and how those collections are valued, okay? And let me explain what I mean. My general thought is that when you have a collection in a game, you need to like set a clear expectation with a player for like how that collection is going to be valued and how that value is going to change over time. We've had Smite for like, what? How many years now? And there was no Pincer Formation, right? And the reason I mention this is that people put a lot of investment into their Arch stuff. But now, if you want to have what might be the meta, we don't know yet, so this is all just speculation. But if the meta might be Pincer, like working on a formation takes like a year. I can't just switch gears. And I get that I could go drop like $800 and switch the formation around. But like, I think it'd be kind of cool if we got some conversion stones with the drop of this formation, commensurate with the investments we've already made into a formation, to sort of like honor the fact that like I've already doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on making a really good set for Arch because that's all there was in the game, right? And this is just my philosophy about like collections and games, I suppose. But it always feels weird to me when, something comes out like Smite Damage Commanders. Obviously, I've got to put something on them. So I like spend time and money on like Arch, and then they launch something else that's like, actually do this instead, it's better. And I really like that the formation system for the most part has actually done the opposite of that. They launch the formation first, then we get the commander for the formation. Because in that case, it's like, hey, the formation came out before the commander. You didn't have to start investing in that formation or pick it at all. Anyways, I am hyped for Pincer Formation. I'm eager to see what it does. And until we know what it does, like at the end of the day, this is all just deep speculation and Chisgule ranting. But I have also strong feelings about this from sort of Call of Dragons, where there's something very similar to formations okay? It's very similar. It's a pet system, okay? And in this pet system, instead of stats, the pets have attributes, and instead of inscriptions, the pets have skills. It's very similar, okay? But I have the same sort of feeling in that game when new heroes are launched and the pet comes out after the heroes are launched. And it's like, wait, I had to invest in a pet for the heroes to like take advantage of them in the open field. I had to do something. So, anytime that sort of happens, feels kind of weird to me. But overall, interested in what Pincer Formation will become. And we'll see, man. We'll see. I would also love to see, based on like your level of investment in Arch, like some conversion stones be distributed. I don't know if this will happen or not. Based on the fact that I had to invest in something. And I think that like one of the best ways to maintain, player trust when you go and invest in stuff is to maintain the value of those investments in your collection. It's actually kind of the same way I feel about equipment, but here we are. All right. So if you enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe, and check the patch note video from yesterday. Cal Karak is changing. Apparently, someone left a comment, I think it was Wout Gaming, that said that the quantity of crystals distributed will remain the same or something to that effect. So if that ends up being true from the trial of Cal Karak, but maybe, well, we'll just have to see the timing of it. I don't know. Everybody's going to watch the details of how this shakes out, man. Like, look, people are going to do the math. It's either better or it's worse, and it's not an opinion thing. It's like, it's just facts. People will look at the facts. And I'm hopeful it'll be an improvement or at least the same. We'll see. All right, we'll see. Yep, I'm tired. I'm tired because I'm fighting in Call of Dragons, and I've had some late nights. So I've basically had like the craziest stretch of KVKs of my life. So I'll stop ranting now. Check yesterday's video. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Leave your thoughts and comments down below about Pincer Formation, all right?